Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course, pleased to be joined by, once again, Nathan Solomon of the Podium Finish, managing editor of the Podium Finish, I should say. There's been a lot of news lately. Where do you want to start?
Wait, there's been a lot of news this week. I don't know what you're
Yeah, there
talking
has
about.
been. Yeah, there has been.
Oh,
First off,
okay.
thanks for coming on again.
Always. Thanks for
And
having me.
well, let's start with the biggest news. You want to go and all right, let's just talk about a few things. Kyle Larson's going to run the Indy 500 in 2024 in the 5 car. HendrickCars.com will sponsor the effort. I mean, everyone's asked Kyle Larson about this for like years if he wants to do it or not, and now he's going to, but he'll do it in 2024 with Arrow McLaren. Oh, wait, yeah, it's the Arrow McLaren team. Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, like a little bit of it was a surprise, but it wasn't a surprise. Like I think the timing of it was a huge surprise. But I don't think anyone's really surprised that he's actually going to do it. I mean, I think everybody thought if there's a guy to do the double, you know, following in the steps of Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch, in back in the day, it would be Kyle Larson. I mean, he's one of the most diverse race car drivers out there. Obviously, we've seen what he can do on dirt. We've seen what he can do in a stock car. Open wheels really the one thing he hasn't dabbled in a whole lot. So now he's gonna be able to do it. And I think everybody knew it was a matter of a matter of when, not if. And now we know a date. It's going to be in 2024. Mr. H gave him the okay. Obviously, he's partnering with Arrow McLaren to really co-own this car. So Mr. H is going to be owning a car in the Indy 500, which will be really cool. So excited for it. And the announcement comes, I don't think you mentioned this, the announcement comes exactly 500 days from the 2024 Indianapolis 500. So a lot of fives there. It'd be really cool. I mean, I think Larson will certainly be doing a lot of training to get ready for it. I'm sure he'll be doing a lot of simulator work. Obviously, a Chevrolet connection there. So, and with the testing, I'm sure he'll be able to test the car quite a bit in advance too. So he'll go into that Indianapolis 500 very prepared, mentally, physically, in terms of just getting adapted to the car as well. Because keep in mind, he's not just doing the Indy 500; he is doing the double. He's doing both races. So be a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully, he can do all 1,100 miles in that race. I know when Kurt Busch did it in 2014, he had a great run in the Indy 500. I believe he blew up in the Coke 600, so he did not finish the all 1,100 miles. Hopefully, we can see Larson complete that, and who knows? I mean, he's one of the best race car drivers in the world. Maybe he'll find victory lane, one of them.
yeah, sounds yeah. It's gonna be fun to watch next year, and who knows? Someone could attempt it this year too. We'll have to see on that one. There's been a lot of interesting news lately this week, so let's go to the next one. Kevin Harvick announced that he will be officially retiring from NASCAR at the end of the 2023 season. He's kind of like the end of an era of some sorts of last driver to race under the Winston Cup era or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, and this was expected in the next few weeks. Of course, his contract was up in 2023. But yeah, your thoughts on this? It's we saw this coming, and yeah, and now it's here.
Yeah, it's not. I don't. It's not really that much of a surprise. You said it perfectly though. It is kind of the end of an era. Kind of that last driver from that Winston Cup era is is going to be leaving the sport. Obviously, Kurt Busch, really had his full time retirement at the end of last year. I mean, it's certainly possible he could do, maybe some more races down the road once he gets cleared. But yeah, it is. It's kind of the end of this like changing of the guard, if you will, sort of. And yeah, I mean, Kevin Harvick's been around for so long. He's pushing it a little bit on age. He's getting close to 50s in his mid to late 40s right now. So not a huge surprise. Like you said, the contract's expiring here at the end of this season. I don't think a lot of people expected that he would sign an extension. I think some people thought he might be done before last year too, but obviously, raced in 2022, wanted to do one more year here in 2023. And have kind of a proper send off with his fans, the team, the sponsors, the duo with Rodney Childers, which is maybe one of the best driver crew chief combinations of all time, because those two guys have just been fantastic together since they joined joined forces at Stuart Haas in 2014. So, Harvick's personality will certainly be missed. I mean, he's certainly an outspoken guy. He doesn't take any BS. So it'll be fun to watch. I think he can have a good year to end things off. He certainly showed some promise there, winning a couple times here in 2022. Those back-to-back races at Michigan and Richmond, but. Again, not a huge surprise, but certainly it'll be a big loss for the sport, though. One of the best drivers in the history of the sport, and also one of the best personalities too, because there's not a whole lot of guys left in the sport that are like that. They just don't take a whole lot of BS. So he'll be missed, but hopefully he can kind of go out on top here with a good season.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. Another big announcement. Legacy Motor Club will be a new team name for what was then known as Petty GMS. They've had 3 team names in 3 years. So, of course, Jimmy Johnson joining the organization that was announced on the Today Show yesterday, and he'll also be running the number 84 car in the select races this season. Now, those races were not disclosed besides the Daytona 500, and Carvana will obviously be sponsoring the 84 Chevrolet. But another big, another team name, we've seen a lot of that lately. We have like Trackhouse Racing, Live Fast, 2311, Tricon Garage in the Truck Series. And now we have another one, Legacy Motor Club.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I wasn't surprised that they rebranded again. I was a little surprised at what they rebranded to. I kind of thought that, maybe it would be some sort of combination of their 3 names, or of the GMS name and the Petty and Johnson. But that's, I think Johnson said that it's kind of hard to find something that really included all 3 that sounded good. So they went out of the box. I mean, I certainly have to respect them for doing that. Something completely new. Branding that's completely different from anyone else in the Cup Series. So they're going out of the box. So good for them. They're trying to kind of build this thing from the ground up. They're making big steps here. Obviously, Petty had been an owner in NASCAR for some time, but the GMS side is really only a couple years into this, so they're really still a pretty new team. Obviously, some more partners coming in. Those 2 sides merged, and for the 2022 season, obviously now Jimmy Johnson's coming in now. So, hey, again, it's out of the box. Good for them. And the Carvana car, though, that looks very clean. I love that paint scheme. I think it looks really, really good. Obviously, the 84 makes a ton of sense. 48's flipped. He's at 83 career victories, so if he gets one more, he'd be at 84. I like it a lot. I think that Carvana car is going to look very clean out on that racetrack, but I don't remember if we mentioned this before, at least in one of these shows that we've done. But remember, as of right now, the tentative schedule for the Daytona 500, first on-track action is qualifying Wednesday night. So Jimmy won't have a whole lot of time to adapt to the car unless they kind of change things up in the schedule. So you'll have to pay attention to that here the next few weeks in case NASCAR does make any changes right now. But he's not going to have a whole lot of time to get used to this next-gen car. It's going to be qualifying and right into duels Thursday. So, he won't really have a chance to practice the car, assuming he makes the show until Friday. So, again, that could change, but certainly something to keep an eye on with the current Speed Week schedule.
Sure. There's been a lot of crazy stuff going on. Couple of we'll recap a couple of these. Xfinity, of course, Anthony Alfredo just got signed with BJ McLeod Motorsports. Basically, the same crew he had at Our Motorsports is going over there with him. Pat Tryson will stay as the crew chief. Obviously, that's a name a lot of people know. Has been on top of the box for a very long time. Lee Leslie is actually going to be Garrett Smithley's crew chief in the 99 car this year. And it was just announced today that David Ingram will be the crew chief for the 78 entry for Live Fast Motorsports this season in there. And also, it just got announced today that Josh Bilicki is going to be running some Xfinity races with DGM Racing in the 91 car. So we'll obviously keep you updated on that. There's still a lot of moving pieces around there that we've been able to do. The SS Greenlight still has a car that they need to fill. Obviously, Blaine Perkins is going to be in the 07. So there's that. So they'll be leasing ECR, having the ECR engines. So that'll be good. Austin Hill is back at in the 21 car. So that'll be good. He'll have the same crew chief as well. It's going to be a lot of moving pieces, around there. Still some rides that still need to be confirmed, but obviously we'll keep you updated on that as well. There's also been some ARCA news as well. Of course, Jesse Love was announced. He'll be full-time with Venturini Motorsports in 2023. It was also announced that Christian Rose will be full-time with AM Racing in 2023. But let's get the big story. Let's talk about that right now. Not too often we see anybody from the Hollywood world come into racing, but we're going to see it now. Frankie Muniz is going to be racing full-time for Rhett Jones Racing in 2023. It looks like they're going to have some backing from Ford, from what it sounds like, and I think they've increased their performance a little bit as well. So yeah, it's definitely going to be there, but that's going to be fun. Well, it's going to be fun for me, but how exciting is it to see Frankie Muniz in ARCA?
No, it's awesome. I mean, I think it's really good for the sport too, because you're gonna get some new eyes onto the sport as well. And obviously, anytime a big time celebrity comes into the sport like that, like it's certainly gonna draw and generate a lot of excitement. So I know he has a racing background. Hopefully, he can do really well with that team. You mentioned maybe some Ford backing there. That could certainly help them, especially now that DGR, now rebranded to Tricon, isn't going to fuel an ARCA entry. So that kind of helps Ford maybe shift that focus a little bit. So, hopefully he'll be in some competitive stuff. He'll run well, but kind of like what I said before, I think him being in the series is very, very good for the sport, to help get some new eyes on it. Just get people watching the races. Start watching the ARCA races, and then from there, if they really enjoy it, start watching trucks and Xfinity and Cup too. So. Someone like that's really good for the sport. Hopefully he'll go out and perform well. I know he's wanted to do this for a very long time, and it's kind of putting the acting thing aside now to really make racing his full-time focus. So should be fun to watch, fun to see how he grows and develops throughout this season, and hopefully he does well, and a lot of people are watching it.
So I mean, it's going to be exciting. I mean, people were texting me that don't follow racing, and now maybe they'll actually watch it. Well, now they're on the Fox family of networks, and it's just, I mean, it's getting all these people in there. So here, there's a good collection of people that run in this series. Let me just go through them. You have a fence company owner, you have a former child actor, you have a former college baseball player, a pizza delivery guy, a high school, a potential high school. We have a high school senior competing in the ARCA test. You have a police officer. You have let's see, you know what I mean. Just a bunch of different people that are running in this series. It's like, I mean, everyone's got like that. Everyone's got a dream to race cars and stuff, and now they're actually doing it. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, a lot of personalities, like a lot of your, kind of like your typical. A lot of these people are just kind of your typical, average Joes, right? They're they've got their typical, 9 to 5, but then they put that aside on the weekends or Friday night just to be able to, go to the racetrack, and they work 9 to 5 at night, come home, have dinner, and then they're working on the car from 6 to 11 o'clock at night, right? So they're just, a lot of these just average people that are just trying to make a name for themselves in racing. So it's fun to watch. Obviously, you still have, your young prospects that are trying to come up at the same time, and hopefully that mix between, some of your veterans, your average Joes, if you will, and then some of these up and coming prospects. Hopefully that mix together will make it for a fun ARCA series season.
Yeah, it should be. And of course, you can get all my thoughts on ARCA on Grid Network. So there we go. Just overall, I mean, this week has been just insane with news surrounding. I think I covered mainly all the big storylines.
Yeah.
Obviously, new paint schemes were released, and you're going to see a lot more of that within the next few weeks. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah. Should be fun. We're getting really close. The ARCA test is this weekend down in Daytona. There's a lot of interesting names that are on that list. I know that I'm not sure how much you can say about this one, but I know you're tied to potentially one of them. So we'll just have to see.
It's going to be the racing season is here. Like I said, the ARCA test this weekend, the Roars next weekend.
Rolex 24 is in a few weeks.
Then the Rolex 24 is the week after that, and then boom, once the Rolex 24 happens, oh my God, it's Clash Week.
Clash Week, and then of course, we got the Super Bowl coming up as well. I know that you're going to be vested in that. You're actually going to be down in Phoenix once again. Of course, you were in Los Angeles last year for Radio Road because of with Bonaventure, and then of course the season begins with the Daytona 500. So and then who knows our first, and then we'll have our first show in. It's going to be fun once again. It is it's getting to be that time, buddy. It is getting to be that time when everyone's getting ready for the season. So it'll be fun. All right, Nathan, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. And best of usually that's my spiel to drivers. And we'll definitely have you on again at some point. There's probably going to be more news coming next week.
Thanks for having me, Casey.